My son is supported by Dimensions, and I'm heavily involved with his team. But I was... Well, they've enabled him to live away from us, which was always our main purpose, really, in getting him the house. They have made him more independent in ways we never thought he could be. They've made him more flexible in that now he will accept a limited amount of change with a lot of notice. They make sure he's safe. They try to help him look after his house. Not always successfully, but we're getting there. They work alongside us to make sure that Tom has a good life, so we will suggest lots of things. They support him to see people, his circle of support. They make sure that he's got his clothes, he's got his hair done, he's got his shopping and things like that. And they are always learning about him as well. I think that's important. I mean, recently, because of his anxiety, he was referred to a psychiatrist. And somebody from the team came every time when we had the meeting. TL didn't go, it was my husband and I went. But somebody from the team came every time and you know, was contributing and learning. So I think that's good. And they've enabled him to live independently, which is, you know, we'd never have dreamt of that when he was sort of 5 or 6. One of the good things that's happened, and I'm really excited about it, is the fact that he'll now see his nephews. He wouldn't see them at all. He wouldn't even speak to his sister because she dared to get married and change her name. And then she had 2 children, and he hates children. So we spent a lot of time, the team and I, between us, spent a lot of time sort of gradually introducing pictures of Toby and Arlo, and gradually talking about them and saying, oh, they're doing this and they're doing that. And eventually he agreed they could come and trick or treat him. So they came to the door and knocked on the door, and he gave them, and of course the staff had prepared him for this, and he gave them 1 sweet each because he said sweets are bad for you, little boy, but had thought this might happen, so the staff had actually got bags to give to their dad. So that was fine. And then after that they could come and collect their Christmas presents on the doorstep. And now he lets them in and he plays games with them. And that was a combination of stuff that we did with him and stuff that staff did with him. So the staff would take him to buy the presents to make sure, you know, and he would choose it and it would be, you know, what he wanted to give them. So that's worked really, really well. Yeah, delighted. And the other good thing is holidays. TL will only go on holiday for 3 nights to Scarborough. 4 days, 3 nights. And he plans it now for next year, and he's only just come back. He came back in September. So, and they're really good. One of the staff researched a really good place for him to stay, which is like a bungalow attached to a guest house. And the person there is superb. He fetches them from the station and takes them back to the station. He's absolutely lovely. And it's got Wi-Fi, which is what he needs, and all the rest of it. So they've done that. And then he does the same things every year. But he, you know, he's really happy doing it, and he chooses who's going to go with him, and it's always the same people, but he pretends to think about it, and it's the same people. So yeah, so that's really successful because he won't go anywhere else. So yeah. I think they're fantastic, I have to say. I mean, you hear such awful stories about people being cared for. I have no concerns at all about how Tom is cared for. I like the fact that we can be involved as much as we want to be, or as little as we want to be. I do sometimes think we have to be a little bit too much involved, but that's me wanting perfection. And you have to realise, I think, as a mum, that it's never going to be like it would be if you looked after them. And that's quite a hard lesson to learn, I think. But I'm getting there. It's only taken 11 years, I'm getting there. I think for Tom it just means everything, really. I mean, he's just so happy with his support workers. It gives them all nicknames. So we've got the lovely Rachel who does his shopping with him, and yeah, so it is good, and he does appreciate not being with us because, you know, for the best will in the world. I mean, even my daughter was at home, I would still be mothering her in a way that she would resent, you know, and I'm sure for TL it's even worse because, you know, he would feel really enclosed. I think Dimensions are also very open, so if there is a problem, from our perspective, we can come and we can discuss it with them, email people, even up to the executive team. You can get in touch with them if you want to as well. much.